What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Brandon Lester Fishing. On today's video, I want to do something just a little bit different. You guys know, if you've hung around the channel a while, I usually cast for crappie. I usually like to stay back off of them and cast for them. Here lately, I've been fishing a little place. It's got a little bit dirtier water, got a lot of white crappie in it. So I want to get right up on these fish. They set really tight to cover. So I'm going to use my jig pole today. And I'm going to tell you and explain the situation where I use a jig pole as opposed to staying back off of these fish and casting to them. So going to be just a little bit different. Hopefully you learn something. Should be a fun day. Y'all stay tuned. All right, y'all. First things first, let's go over the setup right here. I got a B&M 14-foot jig pole. This is the Blue Diamond series. 14-foot, medium light action. Pretty good jig pole, I feel like. I'm not real experienced with a jig pole, I'll be honest with y'all, but I feel like this one's pretty solid. Got a nice cork handle on it. This reel, I have no idea. I'm pretty sure it's an ice fishing reel. I had it laying around in my shop. The thing about a jig pole is you don't need but maybe 35-40 feet of line at the most, and this one doesn't hold a lot of line. Like I said, I'm pretty sure it's an ice fishing reel. So I just slapped it on here and it works perfectly fine. All right, let's talk about the line. So my line, I've got 12-pound vicious 100% fluorocarbon on my main line, and then down here on the business end I have a 1/4 ounce. You can buy these on Amazon. I'll link them in the description. That's actually a saltwater trolling weight is what that is. So it's got a swivel built into each end. I've got 12-pound 100% fluorocarbon tied down to the coming off the main line, and then on my leader part coming off the bottom of that weight, I've got 8-pound vicious 100% fluorocarbon. So why would I go from 12-pound to 8-pound? My thinking is, with that setup, when I get hung up, if I break off, I won't lose the weight. All I lose is the leader and the jig head. So that's why I'm doing that. 32nd ounce crappie magnet double cross jig head and a isom colored crappie magnet. This water's got a little bit of color to it. We'll have to play around with some different colors, but that's what we're going to start with. And we got a big school of fish right here on this log, so we're fixing to drop this jig down there and see if we can't catch us one of them. There we go. Just had to drop it on his head, that's all it was. It's a big one too. Oh, get back in here, baby. That's a nice one. First fish of the day. And a pretty one at that. Right in the tough part of the mouth. There we go. Pretty white crappie. Nice fish. I mean, I had to hit that fish right on the head to get him to bite. Get back over here and see if we can do that again. This water's got quite a bit of color to it, but I still feel like I could probably get by with a little more natural color. And that's probably what we'll try next. Now those fish, they are just not reacting very well to this color. They'll come look at it, they won't bite it. So what do? You start playing with different colors. So I'm going to put something that still has a little bit of color to it on, but looks a lot more natural. Still got the chartreuse head. I'm going to go with this color called Fast Lane. Still a real pretty color. If this one don't work, we may start playing around with jig head color. You just have to play around every day whenever you're crappie fishing. Any crappie fisherman that tells you color don't matter hadn't been crappie fishing very long. I'm just here to tell you, because it does. And we'll find one they like here in a minute. I guarantee you that. There we go. First one that saw that fast lane got it. He's a little guy. But he did not hesitate. He smoked it. Little bitty crappie. Not what we're looking for, but that's a good sign. There we go. That one got it. We missed 2 or 3, but at least they're biting that fast lane. I think that other one was just a little bit too bright. A small white crappie. There's a good one. That school of crappie right there was out here just floating. I dropped it down in them. I have noticed, and I'm sure some of you know a lot more about this than I do, but because some of y'all live on places where crappie float a lot. The crappie that I fish for the most part, a lot of them live on structure. But I have noticed that them crappie that get out there and just float, them jokers are feeding. If you put a bait in front of their face, they will usually bite it. Just about every time. You might not catch them every time, but when they get out there and start floating around, they're usually doing it looking for food. But as you can see, this water right here has some color to it. So when I drop that chartreuse lead head down in that water, I can see it maybe a foot deep, and then it disappears. So I'm gonna call this water right here about 1 foot of visibility, something like that. Maybe even not quite that much, maybe 8 to 10 inches of visibility. All right, so that's one thing I kind of got working against me. But you can look at that 2 different ways. I can get closer to those fish in that dirtier water without those fish spooking as easy. So I can get right up on top of them. And I noticed the other day when I was here that these fish like to sit real tight to the cover, and they don't like to get very far away from it. And the way these piles, these brush piles and logs that are washed up that I'm fishing, the way they're set up, it can be kind of hard to cast to them because it's hard to keep from getting hung up. So that's the case when I'm fishing really specific little spots and I'm wanting to get really dialed in on one little bitty spot and one little group of fish. That's when I like to pull out the jig pole, me personally. These schools of fish in this particular part of this lake are only 8 to 10 fish schools, most of them. They're not those 100 fish, 60 fish, 50 fish. They're not those great big schools of crappie. Those big schools of crappie, the bigger the school of crappie, the more apt they are to get found by other people. And the more educated they get because they get fished for day in and day out. So anytime you're faced with a situation where you've got a small group of fish sitting real tight to cover, that's when I like to use the jig rod. There's one. That's a decent one. Black crappie. There we go. Pretty black crappie. He liked the pink head. Get back over here and see if another one will. Tell you what, I'm liking that weight I've got on there. It I don't know about y'all, but all them split shots and bobber stops with bullet weights and all that stuff gets on my nerves, man, because Every time you set the hook, it slides down. It drives me absolutely up the wall. Anything that takes up time in my fishing, I don't much care for it. I'll be honest with y'all, it's all I can do to fool with this camera sometimes. Just anything that costs me time, I guess that's a tournament fisherman in me. It drives me crazy. When I go to the lake, I want to catch as many as I can possibly catch while I'm there. That's just kind of, I don't know, that's just how I'm geared, I guess. But there's one. Yeah, nice one too. Come here, baby. That's a good fish. One little stick down there he was sitting on. Set that rod right down there. Pretty one. I've been seeing this on a few of the fish that I've caught lately. And I've seen it not just on one lake, several different lakes. Y'all see that fungus right there? Looks like fungus to me. On that fish's fin, and then he's got it right there on his tail. Y'all see that? If anybody knows what in the world that is, please let me know. Because I would like to know. I don't know. I don't claim to be no fisheries biologist or nothing, but I'm gonna say that is probably some kind of a fungus. Don't know for sure. But if anybody knows, I'd love to know. There's a big one. I seen him come up there and get it. Nice one there. Oh, come in here, baby. That's a good one. Man, he just eased up there and sucked it in. Pretty one there. The fish ain't got a mark on him except where I just caught him. Nice one. Got that one. That's a good one. Huh, that ain't a crappie. That's a white bass. What about that? What about that? Sitting right in there in a school, just like he was a crappie, and I'm pretty sure there's some crappie in there, but that ain't one of them. That's a white bass. There we go. That's a crappie. Now see, that one came out of that same exact school where I just caught that white bass. I knew there was some crappie down there. I could just tell by the way they were set up. Pretty little black. That particular spot right there, I had to, y'all see right here on active target, I got a big tree coming up right here, right? And then it's laying over. I had to go down past this tree that's laying over right here and go down in here to get that fish to bite. So if I was trying to stay back and cast, there's no way I could have done that without getting hung up. All right, everybody, that's gonna wrap this one up. That was a fun day. We caught a bunch of fish, about like last time. Caught a lot of fish, didn't catch a lot of big fish. We did catch some nice ones. I just feel like we need some cooler weather to really get them big ones going. I can see some big ones in these piles that I'm fishing. I know they're in there. They're just not real active. Maybe it's a time of day thing. I don't know. I just think the water's still a little bit too hot. But it was still a fun day. I hope you learned a little something about, you know, like I said, I had a question on a prior video. When do I use a jig pole? When do I cast to them? I still prefer to cast to them. I feel like I can present the bait most of the time better in most situations casting to them. But there is a time and place for the jig pole, and that's what we did today. And we caught some, we got the job done. So I appreciate you guys watching. Still running guide trips, will be the rest of the fall and into the winter. So if you'd like to go with me, shoot me an email. I'd love to go fishing with you. Thank y'all for watching. I'll see you next time right here, Brandon Lester Fishing.